So just some general rules around all this profile building, and this is revisiting some of the stuff I talked about. Always interlink profiles. All right, always create those connections between different profiles. Don't try to separate them. And I'm not talking about personal versus professional. I'm talking about all your different business profiles. There is no reason not to connect them. I can't think of a reason you want to keep them separate unless you're running different businesses or something like that. Write a really good about page. 160 characters, it's a lot harder work. I tend to rewrite my Twitter profile a lot. On Google Plus and Facebook, I've got almost unlimited characters. I can put whatever I want. It just somehow doesn't seem as difficult. Have a really good avatar. So again, a picture of you, a logo for your business, whatever it is. On streaming services like Twitter, where there's lots of stuff going by, a person is always better if you can do it. So even if you're Dell Corporation, I know you're probably going to have your logo there, but if you can find a way to put a picture there, that's better. And then don't be afraid to edit. A lot of people write their about page, they do their profile, they set things up, and it stays that way forever. 3 years later, 4 years later, it's the exact same thing. Don't be afraid to tweak it and change it. Not that many people look at it anyway, as horrible as that sounds, but the people who do look, it's really important for them. And in some cases, it does do things to your search engine optimization, to the way search engines perceive you, to the way that the social media platform itself connects things. So you've done all this work, and it's launch day. Woo! You get all your pages up there, you do your grand opening, you got your page up, you're all excited, and there's nothing but crickets. That's going to happen, and it's probably going to go on for a long time, and I just want to prepare you for that, okay? Most people, when they jump on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, you don't get instant exposure. Don't be afraid to ask people who can help you out. Don't be afraid to send me a note saying, hey, Ian, I just set up my Facebook page or my Twitter profile. Because I'll go and I'll say, hey, everybody, welcome Lenora to Twitter. And that'll get you a few followers, not a lot. People don't listen to me that much, but it might help. And remember, this is not about quantity. This is talking. Right? You have walked through the door into the party. Now you need to say things that are actually going to matter. And it does not matter if that message only gets in front of one person. Because that one person can potentially spread it as far as you want them to. As long as it matters to them, they'll take it and carry it along. So by now you're just thinking, holy crap, he's just shoveled so much information about this stuff and so many things to do. And he says this is, kind of how you get started doing social media for business. It's hopeless. We're doomed. We can't possibly do this. That's sort of the conversation in my head all the time. But there is hope. There is a tool called Hootsuite. There's a bunch of platforms like this. Some are free, some are inexpensive, some are very expensive. Hootsuite, there is a paid version that the cost is very controllable. I think right now we have 8 or 9 people on what's called a professional account, and it's costing us something like $50 a month for all of us. So it's not very expensive at all. And that connects the account so we can assign tasks to each other and stuff in Hootsuite. There's tools like Sprout Social, which I'm very high on right now because Doug found it and I've been playing with it and it's very cool. The main thing to understand though is that I'm showing you Hootsuite. I'm not recommending it. I'm not endorsing it. They don't pay me. I don't get a commission. It's the one that I use all the time. All right, so it's the one I'm going to talk about here. Just understand that there are many tools like this, and you should assume that you're going to have a tool like this and that you're going to use it because it's going to make the difference between this being a big chore every day and something you can manage fairly easily. When you sign up for Hootsuite, you'll go to a web page that looks like this, which says absolutely nothing. Don't worry if you can't read that. It doesn't say anything important. There's just a button down there, and Hootsuite thinks in terms of streams and tabs. A stream is just a column of information that's going by as Hootsuite collects that information and presents it to you. A tab is just a bunch of streams grouped. And you can do it any way you want. You can have 1 stream per tab. You can have up to 10. I think 10 is the maximum number of streams per tab. It's just a way to organize yourself. The first thing you want to do with Hootsuite is get set up for listening. And it used to be that I would have people use 3 or 4 different tools for this. I'm going to walk you through just using Hootsuite to do this. I actually use a separate tool called Google Reader to do a lot of my more advanced listening stuff and filtering stuff. Again, if you want me to talk about it, at the end I'll bring it up on the screen and I'll walk you through how I do that. But you can accomplish all the same stuff in Hootsuite. It's just not quite as fancy. So when you're in Hootsuite and you click Add Stream, you'll get a screen like this, which will show you, okay, click on any of your accounts and notice how many different services I have accounts for here. Right? So I have Facebook, LinkedIn, Foursquare. I have MySpace. Yes, I do have a MySpace account. I don't use it anymore. Ping FM, another one that's kind of really old. Mixi, another, I'm dating myself badly here. And WordPress, which is more recent. And you can add other services to it too. So I can then go on there and let's say in this case I just want to get a stream directly from a profile. So I just want to show every time someone mentions my Twitter handle on Twitter. So my handle on Twitter is portentint. Anytime someone sends out a tweet with portentint in it with a little @ symbol before it, Hootsuite will collect it and show it in this stream. And that's what a stream looks like. So it's just a list of mentions of my name. And in some cases, it's me. I replied to someone, and then they replied back to me. Like me and Netmeg are having a sarcastic discussion because it's what we do. And then other ones, it's just random people mentioning me or whatever. You can also, and this is very important, build lists. A list is a group of people on just about any social media service that you want to aggregate together. So like, I follow about 5,000 people. Right? I'm not going to watch all the tweets that all 5,000 send me all the time. I have different lists. I have one called the Awesomes. And the Awesomes is all the people who I want to see their tweets. There's only like 20 or 30 people on that list. I absolutely have to see the stuff that they're sending me. So I create another stream in Hootsuite, right, that just sits right next to the one with my mentions. And I use an existing list. I could create a new one, but in this case I'm going to use an existing list. And then let's say I want to add Jeremiah Oyang to that list. In case you think my 11,000 followers is oh so impressive, notice he has 103,000. His nerd muscles are much bigger than mine. But I can then, if you look at this screen, you can see down at the bottom, I hope you can see, it says follow, unfollow. So I can actually, without going to Twitter, I can follow this person on Twitter, or I can remove them. I can send him a direct message. I can reply to something he sent, and I can add him to a list. And when I do that, it's going to add it to my list on Twitter without me having to go to Twitter. So in the same tool where I'm watching all my Facebook stuff go by, my LinkedIn stuff go by, and my Twitter stuff, I can do all this. I can operate and manipulate the stuff I have on Twitter. So it saves me a ton of time. So now I've got 3 streams up here, right? I've got the Awesomes, I've got mentions, and then I just put up my home feed, which is everybody who I follow, just spinning by really fast. You don't always get the most useful stuff. This is why I like to use lists. I just thought this was kind of funny. Videos of Japanese trains and train toilets. I have to admit, when I was in Tokyo, the toilet in my hotel room nearly gave me a heart attack. So I kind of understand this because it automatically opened and all these different fans come on and stuff when you open the door to your restroom. So if you're totally jet lagged and you stumble into your room in the dark, open it, and then all of a sudden this thing in the bathroom opens its mouth and starts roaring at you, it's a little spooky. But I'm not sure that was something I needed to know right then. You can also do searches. And this is huge, all right? On Facebook, Twitter, Foursquare, anything that streams content, I can go in and I can create a search. So let's say I just want to do a search for bicycling. And I just type that in, click Add Stream, and then I'm going to see everything that shows up for my profile on Facebook that relates to bicycling, as well as Facebook can give me those results. So searches are huge, really useful, especially on Twitter. If you're looking for people who are asking questions, a search is a great way to find those people. I can put up the Spoke and Spoke, remember my bicycle shop, the Spoke and Spoke Facebook page. I can add a set of streams, right? So I can put up, wall posts, events, scheduled messages, which is stuff that I've scheduled to publish in the future. And there I have it. So here's a search result for bicycling from Facebook. Here's all my wall posts, right? And notice I got it right next to my Twitter stuff. So I don't have to go anywhere, at least as far as keeping an eye on things. Then I can add some tools to this. So there's all these custom apps that people write for Hootsuite to expand functionality. The two that I recommend strongly are, there's one called InboxQ. This is a search tool that's specifically designed to find questions. It does a reasonably good job of it. So again, if you're looking for people to answer, who are asking questions on Twitter, this is a good tool to have. Now, InboxQ only works with Twitter, so if you want to find questions on other services, just use the regular search tool. And then also, you want to look at the RSS reader. You add your RSS reader, and then you add a stream that uses that app, that uses that tool. So I go here, I've got my little RSS reader window that opens up, and in case you can't tell from the screen, you see this little gear? That's just showing my settings. That'll always show my settings anywhere in Hootsuite that you see that little gear symbol. You show the settings for whatever it is you're looking at. Here, it's showing the settings for that stream, so I can add more feeds to that stream. So you don't have to have one RSS feed per stream. That's what's really important. So let's say I go to cyclingnews.com and they've got an RSS feed for their editions, which is all the news in the racing world. So I want to add that to my RSS feed reader in Hootsuite. So I can just watch the stuff going by. All you have to do is click on that little icon, copy the address that appears in your browser, and then paste it in to the RSS reader window in Hootsuite. And once you click Add Feed, it's now going to be part of the results that come spinning by. On Google, so you can do a blog search on Google, right? Everybody know how to do this. You go on Google, you search for something, and then instead of just leaving it set to the default, you can click on where it says the word everything. There's an options. You can drop down the options and just click on blogs. So all you see is search results from blogs. And then at the bottom of the screen in the blog search result, there's a little RSS link. So that's another link to search results. So you can copy that and paste that in. So what you've just done is constructed this one stream that's showing you content from many different sources, right? It can be content from specific blogs, as well as content from search results. Google has a service called Google Alerts that you can use to deliver RSS content, so you can be alerted anytime a particular phrase shows up, and you can take that and subscribe to it via RSS. There's all sorts of things you can do here. So any service that delivers an RSS feed, and you don't have to know what that is. I mean, it's just a fancy way of saying all the headlines from a website reduced to a format of text that is common across the internet, so lots of tools can grab it. It's just a standard, a protocol. Did any of those words help whatsoever, or did standard and protocol don't help either? So Hootsuite comes in many flavors. You can get a mobile version. You can get a version that just runs in your web browser, which I call the web client. You can get different desktop software, different versions of it that will run on your desktop different ways. I don't use the desktop versions because they tend to slow down and eat up a lot of memory. The web version, for some reason, tends to work better. That said, I still wouldn't go too nuts with having lots of different streams just because it's going to bog you down too. But I also find that breaking it up into tabs can help. If you max out 5 tabs, that seems to slow it down even more than if I have 10 tabs that are half full. So you've created this feed that's just sending you this stream that's sending you all this content from different sources. This is what Hootsuite does, okay? It's just lots of different ways to aggregate information and manage it. So then you get to InboxQ, all right? And this is the tool I talked about that helps you automatically find questions on Twitter relating to different subjects. So I go on there and maybe I want to look for everyone who's asking questions about road racing tires. And you're going to see how well this worked in a second, so I'm not saying this is a miracle solution, but you can go on here and you can tune it, and this is the nice part. So this is my first shot at this. I just said I want moderate quality, anybody who's mentioning road racing tire in a question. I'm not adding any negative keywords. So for example, I could add a keyword with a minus sign before it that's motorcycle, so that the only road racing tires we're talking about are bicycle road racing, not motorcycle road racing. So I do that. And it's pretty much a, well, this is, I was looking for people who are asking for bicycle instead. Could have been worse. I didn't post the one about the road racing tires because the language was so bad in most of the tweets that I didn't feel comfortable posting it in a seminar. So this one actually is not too bad. Notice that we did get, Bombay Bicycle Club CDs showing up in there. That's fine. I can go and add a negative keyword. Don't show me Bombay, anything with Bombay in it. But this gives you those questions that are coming by. So you've got all these streams. You've aggregated it all, but you do have to talk at some point. This is about talking and mattering. On Hootsuite, it's really easy because when you go to write a post like this, so I just wrote, come to Spoke and Spoke today, and you see all these little icons with the checks in them? Those are all the different social profiles where that's going to publish. So I'm publishing this same post to Twitter, my Facebook personal profile, another Facebook profile where I broke the link to the icon, obviously, and then the Spoke and Spoke business page. If you see something someone else posted that you want to repost, and this is content curation, all you do is you click that little share link icon. It looks like a little arrow. And that immediately inserts the title of that particular post in Hootsuite and a link. And the link is shortened using a service called Owly, which is owned by Hootsuite. Get it? Hootsuite, Owly. Anyway, that link shortening has a lot of really cool functions. I mean, the main one is it doesn't eat up all of your 140 characters, but also Hootsuite will track clicks for you. So you can see which of your posts worked better, which ones had a bigger following, which ones got better response. So I found this article where the leader, the guy who's currently in the lead in this major pro tour called the Giro d'Italia, he's praising his team. And the immediate thought, because I'm a sarcastic New Jerseyite, is, yeah, like the guy who's in first place in the Giro is going to say that his team is terrible? I don't think so. He's going to say how wonderful they are. So I added something just kind of saying, leader of the Giro isn't going to say that his team is letting him down, just saying. But notice I got a little warning down here. See how I have a little red Twitter icon and the 275? It's too many characters for Twitter. It's too long. So Hootsuite is actually checking for me, because on Facebook it would have been fine. On LinkedIn, not so much, but on Twitter it's definitely not going to work. So I can shorten it a little bit first, which I did, and then send it out. The next thing that Hootsuite can do is schedule. Scheduling, literally, you click on that little calendar icon, and then you can say when you want it to send out, the date and the time. This is good for a lot of things, particularly good because the whole method I'm going to talk about, 10-5-10, means that you're not constantly using Hootsuite. You're using it every 90 minutes or so, or every 2 hours, whatever. It's also good if you have a campaign. Maybe you're running a major campaign where you're promoting something. You want to make sure certain tweets go at certain times. Like if I was, for this seminar, if I had still been trying to sell seats like right up to the minute it started, I would have scheduled a series of tweets to go out, maybe 24 hours before, 2 hours before, an hour before, 30 minutes, 15, saying, oh, there's still seats left, and it would just keep sending them out. Luckily, thanks to all you nice people, I filled the place up, so no problem. And then it shows up, the tweet, the post, whatever it is, shows up everywhere. So here it is on Facebook, on my personal page, on the Spoke and Spoke page, and on Twitter. And notice it showed up posted by me, Ian Lurie here, posted as Spoke and Spoke here, and posted as Portent Int on Twitter. So it handles all the identities for you. It handles where that content goes. It does everything for you. Hootsuite is awesome. I could not manage my social life. That's really sad that I just said that. Wow. My social media life without it.
Ian, can you post to multiple Facebook pages?
Yes. Yes. You can manage many pages from Hootsuite, and then you can post to many of them at the same time. You can also schedule at different times for different profiles. There's all sorts of things you can do with that. Now, just so you know, the scheduling tool in Hootsuite is really good. It's not quite as cool as some of the other tools out there that actually automatically detect the best times of day for you to send out your tweets, and then they auto-schedule for you. So like, there's a tool out there called Timely. Timely.is is the address. It's the one that I actually use most of the time, and it's just a bookmark, just like the Pin It bookmark that Pinterest gives you. You get a Timely bookmark, and when you click whatever page you're on, you click the Timely bookmark, it pops up a window that has a link to whatever that post is. You type in what you want your Twitter post to be, and when you click Submit, it just automatically queues it up to go out at the best possible time. And you can do that, up to 9 times a day. So you can queue up 9 posts throughout the day. There's another tool called Buffer App that does it. And then there's, again, there's tons of paid tools that will do things like this. The reason I'm talking about Hootsuite is because it's all in one place. So you're using a single tool. And none of those other tools have the feature set. They're all specialized. So they're all meant to do scheduling, and that's it. Doesn't mean they're not useful. They're really cool. But so one last tool I'm going to talk about is a tool called getpocket.com. You ever come across a link on Facebook or something you really wanted to check out later, and then you totally forget? You can't remember what it was, and you can't find it because 10 other posts have gone by? I'm the only person who's had this happen, probably, because I'm the only one who does this much in social media. But it will happen to you at some point. Or you come across a website that you really like, and you want to just very quickly save it to look at it later. What Getpocket does, it's actually Pocket, but the address is getpocket.com. What it does is it's basically a list of things you want to read later. Really simple, really easy. So one thing that Hootsuite doesn't have built in yet. So any links I come across that maybe I don't want to post these links yet, I can just use Getpocket to do that. That's going to matter in a second. So how do you find people to follow? Right? I've been talking about, just go follow people and do things, but how are you going to find them? Well, there's a couple different ways to do it. You can do a search on Facebook, and you get great stuff like this. So I do a search on bicycle reviews on Facebook, and I get bicycles-for-sale.org. That must be a really high-quality site. Touring bicycle reviews with 3 likes. A company called Trek Bicycle Reviews, not Trek Bicycle, Trek Bicycle Reviews, and the Bombay Bicycle Club restaurant and bar in Ovingham, which has nothing to do with bicycling. And I can only say this one more time. You have billions of dollars and you can't make a better search tool than that. I don't. They could steal one for that much money. Anyway, you can just go on Google and do a search. That works a lot better. It makes it a lot easier. So what I'll do is I'll go on Google and I'll just search for a topic I like. And then I go through some sites and I find their Twitter addresses. I find if there's individual writers who have their own profiles on these sites. Maybe I like their writing style. I'll follow them. Maybe there's someone whose blog I find that I really like, and I'll follow them. And also, I'll watch my streams. Remember, you're going to have a questions stream and a keyword search stream. You're going to have these things in there that aren't specific to people. When you see interesting stuff come by, those are the people you want to follow, right? And remember, you can do that right inside of Hootsuite. You can use this Discover Facebook Pages tool on Facebook, which is not too bad. This is the result for me, okay? Now, I'm not much of a country music guy, and I don't even know who Juan Manuel Lopez is. I am not really looking to go into the ministry. My rabbi probably wouldn't like that. Spike Lee, yeah, okay. Basketball player, definitely. George Hincapie, that's pretty good, because he's not, it's not like he's a major celebrity, so they picked out the cycling thing. Hyperbole and a half, I don't know, but it looks really weird, so it's probably right. And then here is the congressman, Anthony Weiner. Apparently I want him to send me pictures. I don't know. So it's not bad, though, and it's worth taking a look, and you can go in there and find some folks to follow as well. You can also go take a look at lists. So sometimes you'll get included on lists, or someone will create a list that's public, and you can go search these things using Google or on Twitter. You can just look at collections of lists. And you can just follow everybody on the list. On Google+, people will share circles. So like I've taken my SEO gang circle, and sometimes people ask me, who do you follow? And I'll just send them the whole circle and just say, go check that out. And they'll just follow it. And then on Google+, they actually make suggestions to you all the time. People like these people. And then you can decide whether you want to follow them or not. And it'll tell you how many people you have in common also. I did a search on Google+ for bicycle reviews, and it actually showed me something about bicycle reviews. I was just showing this to stick one more fork in Facebook's eye about their search tool. And then, because they have put all their other profiles on their Google+ profile, I can find them on Twitter and Facebook and all those other places and see if I want to follow them there too. Same thing on Quora. I can find people who have really good answers to questions about cycling, and then I go look at his profile on Quora, and sure enough, he's got his Twitter and his Facebook profile up there, so I can follow him there. Because on Quora, he's just answering questions. on Twitter and Facebook, he may be talking about other things that I want to track. If he doesn't, then I'll just not follow him there. So the next thing is seeing how you're doing. Now, I gave you all these goals, right? And I said follow those goals and ignore accounts and things. You're still going to go look, I know. I'm still going to get emails from people saying, I only have 2 followers, or I only have 10 followers, or whatever. So I'm going to give in and just show you. By the way, this is our Karate Pose Facebook page. You might notice Doug there showing his shoes to all of us. So on Facebook, Facebook has the best analytics tools of all these different sites. And it's the one, Hootsuite has a built-in analytics tool set that I'll show you, but Facebook has pretty good reports. So if you click that little admin panel button that you'll see at the upper right of your business page, and then click on the See All, because you'll have this little insights area, you get this great report. And this report will show you all the posts you've made, the reach, the number of people who actually saw the message, level of the number of people who engaged, meaning they liked, or they shared, or they commented. And I can't, there we go. And the number of people talking about it. So the number of people who are actually mentioned it to other people. But then also it shows this thing called virality. And I'm not going to talk about the formula because I don't totally remember the formula off the top of my head, but it's basically the percentage of people who somehow spread the message. Higher virality is better. It's actually pretty useful at the end of a week or a month to look back at all the posts you've done, find the ones with the highest virality, with the highest reach, all that, and then figure out what, is there something in common between all these posts that perform so well? Because usually it's going to be something really simple, like they all had pictures, or they all mentioned a particular topic, or they all happened at a certain time of day. And easy learnings like that are easy wins for you when you're trying to build your audience. So notice I'm still not talking about quantity, I'm still not talking about number of people, but this is talking. You do want to matter. Well, this is one way to look and see whether you're mattering or not, and what what is it that you say that matters most. But that's just on Facebook. On Hootsuite, there's this analytics button on the left. And if you then click and go to the Quick Analytics, Quick Analytics, and then click on Summary Stats, Owly Summary Stats. If you're using the default link shortener for Hootsuite, which is Owly, it will then give you this report showing you who's clicked, how many clicks, how many friends of fans, which is the same as reach, right? Showing how many people actually saw, how many potentially people saw the message that you sent. Total reach for the week. And it even shows you your Facebook Insights data. So if you don't want to go to Facebook to look at the Insights report, you can do it here. I find that the Facebook way of reporting it is actually a little easier for me to understand and make useful conclusions from, so I usually stick with that. But don't go too nuts over this. It's just look for anomalies. Once a month, take a look and see if there's one post that just did a lot more than everything else. And usually your gut instinct is right, but looking at the data doesn't hurt either. Now we talk about the actual technique. How do we make this actually work? So I created this thing called 10-5-10. I'm not patenting it or trademarking it. Do what you want with it. But this is what has sort of evolved for me over time. So in the morning when I get to work, I turn on my computer and I literally have a timer, and I go for 10 minutes. And in those 10 minutes, I'm looking at some basic stuff about how social media is going for me. Generally, how's it going? Is anyone new following me? And if so, should I follow them back? Is there anything saved on my reading list from yesterday? Remember I talked about Pocket? Is there anything there that I put there yesterday that I should take a quick look at? And then I just take a look at my dashboard, just my streams, what's going on. So here, for example, I'm just blocking out names to protect the innocent. These are people who have circled me on Google+, and I find one right away that looks kind of interesting because 13 people in common, I'm probably going to check that one out. People who have nothing in common with me, who I go and look at their streams and all they do is talk about 99-cent links and things like that, I'm probably not going to follow back. Just a good example of figuring out whether you should follow someone back. So on Twitter, when you sign up to Twitter, you're going to start getting people following you. You're going to be like, oh, this is awesome. I'm getting followers. And if you take a look at their numbers, you're going to start to notice something, that somehow they've acquired 10,000 followers, even though they only follow 150 people, and they've only tweeted 10 times in their entire life. Okay? That would be a computer spamming and creating followers automatically. Do not follow them back. It's pointless. You're not going to get anything useful. You're going to get a lot of ads, a lot of things saying, hey, you should click this. And by the way, if you get something that says, hey, you should click this from someone you don't know, don't click it. You don't need to do that. But now I'm going to take a look at my dashboard. I'm going to look at Hootsuite, at all those streams. First thing I'm going to do is respond. So did someone send me a question or say something mean about me? I made this up. No one's ever actually sent this. Although I did once get called a marketing cretin. And, you know, if you want to respond to that, that's fine. Just don't take the bait. All right? Because I do get some pretty horrifically nasty tweets, you know, insulting everything from my parentage to my ethnicity that I don't even have. You know, if you're a big brand, responding to questions or statements, huge. Okay? You've just made a fan for at least the next 20 minutes. And if you remember what I was talking about with persistence and earned, this is earned media. As soon as they replied to this with a good, useful reply, and notice someone even liked it, you see that little thumbs up with the one next to it? Well, that person's question showed up in their stream on Facebook, and the answer probably did too. So now other people who come and look say, oh, look at that. Lucky Brand actually answers questions. Plus, if someone has that same question, they have a chance of seeing this. Sometimes just giving people a virtual pat on the back or head is worth it. I mean, responding in some way is just very, very useful. It's a really good way to make sure that you're engaging. Saying thank you, if someone says that's a great post, is a really good thing to do. If someone reshares it and they just sort of CC you, you know, if someone famous takes something you tweeted and forwards it to 10 million other people, you should say thank you to them. Second, you want to curate content. And I've mentioned this a few times. I haven't really defined it. When I say curate content, what I mean is finding interesting and useful stuff out there on the internet that's not yours and sending it to your audience because you know that they are going to find it interesting and useful. Again, stuff that matters. Right? So I know who my audience is pretty well on Twitter and Facebook. If I see something that's of interest that I think will be of interest to them, I'm going to send it out. So I'll take a look at my pocket list, see if there's something I want to curate there. And then this is the same as looking in the RSS feed in Hootsuite. I'm just using a different tool. So these are all the different things that I'm following right now, all the different feeds. I find one post that's hugely important, I think. Well, I'm immediately going to go and tweet this to my audience. I'm not even going to schedule this one. I'm just going to send it straight out. Right? And this is all in, if my 10 minutes is up before I get to this, that's fine. I just stop and I get to work. Okay, I'm not going to hold up my whole day to make sure I hit all these things. The main thing in that 10 minutes is, how are things going? Did anyone follow me? Is there anyone I need to respond to? If I can get into curation in that period, that's great too. And then the last thing you want to do is rant. Sometimes you just can't resist. It's the only time I ever dropped an F-bomb on Facebook, where in 3 days, it's actually the last time I was here, I got food poisoning, not from here, not from here. The next day, or 2 days later, when I could walk again, I cracked a tooth, like huge, you know, I have a crown now. And then the day after that, I was trying to feel better by pulling weeds in the garden. I pulled out a weed that was covering up a wasp nest and got just savaged. And it was not 5 stings, as it turned out, it was 12. Nasty little buggers. Anyway. And then just think about, if you're going to curate content, does it matter? And I'll admit, the occasional rant doesn't matter. You can still do it, because it does feel kind of good. Just be really careful. If you ever watch my rants, you'll notice I never rant at a person, and I never rant personally. I may rant at companies. I may rant at political figures, which are arguably people. And I will always rant at myself and something stupid I did. But I'm not going to direct it at a person. Speaking of which, people who I could probably rant about, this does not matter. I don't care who you are, okay, or how much of a fan you are of Paris Hilton. Her reminding me that she's filthy rich, has a single-digit IQ, and is going to run the entire world someday does not make me like her better or anything else. See, I just ranted personally. Yeah, but I can rant personally voice. I'm just not going to write that down anywhere. You know, sometimes it can be just a kind of a random thought that occurs to you during the day. In my opinion, meerkats are the greatest presentation fodder ever. They're just awesome little animals that you can use because they all are always doing these vaguely human things. So anyway, and that one, by the way, got favorited like 11 times. So that's my 10 minutes in the morning. How's it going? New follows, people to respond to in the reading list, and your dashboard. Okay? Then, and this is for me, I go every 45 minutes. You can go every 90, every 2 hours, every 4 hours, whatever works. I have a 5-minute chunk of time. That's a break from other stuff where I'm going to just do content curation and response. I'm not going to look at people who are following, who just followed me, anything like that. I'm going to look for people who asked me something, and I'm going to curate content. So, for example, I'm going to take a quick look at my RSS feeds and see if there's something in there that I want to talk about. This one actually didn't seem like that earth-shattering of a revelation, and it's not like he's going to deny it. So then I'm just going to send out a quick tweet, probably schedule it in this case, and it's going to pop up in my stream somewhere. And if I do this every 45 to 90 minutes, if I do this, I'm probably going to find 2 or 3 things each time, which means if I use a schedule of any kind, like Timely or Hootsuite scheduling or whatever, I can make sure that I have a steady flow of useful tweets going out every 20 to 45 minutes. And a lot of people are going to say this is spammy because you're scheduling stuff ahead of time. I really don't support any form of spam, and I really don't think this is any kind of spam. This is finding content that's useful and putting it out there. If you did this with all your latest sales and all the products you're trying to sell through your affiliate program, yeah, that's spam. But this is really, you're trying to build a useful reading list for people. And you're spreading it out because if you sent it all out at once, it would be of no use to them because it all goes zipping by in their stream, and then they'll never see it. And then at the end of the day, I take 10 more minutes. I go over my pocket list again, see if there's something I really had to look at before the end of the day, and just see if there's anything else I need to schedule, anyone else I need to respond to. Was there anything really urgent that I needed to deal with? I might go look at who knew that followed me, but probably not. It's generally just the morning. And that's it. So 10, 5, 10. The 5 minutes periods are more important than the 10-minute periods. It's all important, but think about it. The steady curation, the steady response is more important than doing it in the morning and the afternoon. And at the beginning, when he came up to me and was talking about how distracting this stuff can be, I turn off all my social media stuff in between those 5-minute breaks. Because if I don't, it's amazing, actually. While I was putting together this presentation, I was going on Facebook, right, and doing screen captures. And I would go on Facebook, and I'd see the little one next to, that someone had done something with my stuff. I'd click that, and by the time I was done, I'd completely forgotten that I was actually there to take a screen capture of something. And I'd go back to work on the slide presentation. I'd be like, wait a minute, what? Oh, yeah, and then you could do it all again. And I can't just blame that on having kids, the walking halfway across the room and forgetting thing. This is just, it is very distracting. There's always stuff going by. So I turn it all off. So again, remember, it's just talking, right? All this stuff I'm talking about right now, all the stuff I've gone through, it's still just talking. You're just saying, hey, have you seen this? It's really interesting. Or you're saying, oh, well, you asked me a question, here's the answer. Or you're making fun of Paris Hilton. I apologize, sorry, Paris, okay? Whatever it is, it's talking. And it needs to matter. And mattering doesn't just mean curated content. It does, mattering can mean humor, entertainment, thought-provoking, completely random. It doesn't, it completely depends on you, your audience, what you want to accomplish.